My name's Nick Watt. I'm the founder and creative director at No, a small video games studio based in Sydney. So No's an independent games developer. We've been running since about 2006, and we mainly make digital titles for console services. So your Nintendo Wii, or your PlayStation 4, or your Nintendo 3DS. We've released to date about 7 titles, which range from little applications to full-on video games. No employs currently 3 people, and we've expanded up to as many as 4 or 5 before, and then we kind of contract and expand as our needs dictate. So my story of how I became a games developer starts back as I graduated university. I was studying architecture, and then during university the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64 came out, and it was at that point that games kind of made the transition from 2D games into 3D games, and I kind of realized that hoped that my architectural skills and training might be applicable in this kind of new 3D landscape that games were entering.
My name's Lee Harris. I'm a game design teacher at the Academy of Interactive Entertainment, and I'm one of 2 directors of Flat Earth Games, an indie studio based in Sydney. So I started my career in games development in PR for Rockstar Games, and from there I moved into journalism. Eventually, my brother pitched a game idea that he had to another local indie studio called Epiphany Games. They really liked the idea, so he gave me a call and we decided to start our own studio. I had all the experience doing marketing and PR for video games, and he had a lot of experience in IT, so we made quite a good team. Flat Earth Games made Towncraft. That was our first title. It made it to the number 2 spot on the paid App Store charts in Australia. We got some Screen Australia funding off the back of that, and we were able to bring it to new platforms, release it properly overseas, that sort of thing. We used the money we got from Towncraft to make our second game, our second to make our third, and tonight we're going to be announcing our 4th game, Objects in Space.
Hi, my name's Josh Caratelli. I'm 18 years old. I'm a company director at Double Mercury Entertainment. I won the first STEM challenge last year in 2014, and I'm also doing a full-time computer science course at RMIT University. I made my break into the games industry when I was 14 actually, it's about 4 years ago. I went to my first International Game Developers Association Melbourne chapter meeting. I met a lot of different game developers. From there, I met a few developers from Big Ant Studios. About 8 months later, worked in a portfolio, got my first week of work experience, and from there I did a summer holiday contract job, got my first game credit on Rugby League Live 2, the 360 and PlayStation 3, and since then I've just been working on small game and launching that later this year.
Trends in the local game development scene have mostly included a refocusing on a more fractured and small set of teams. There used to be many more AAA studios in Australia, but after the GFC hit, a lot of them got closed by their US companies. So all the talent that was left here decided to reform. So a new bunch of indie studios arrived, and we've been making some really hit games since then. And now we're healthy again, but in a totally different way. At the moment, most of the studios in Australia are quite small, so survival's very high on the agenda for a lot of them. So success for a lot of people involves just managing to get their studios growing and starting from the beginning.
Obviously we recently had funding from the government and was withdrawn or stopped, which was unfortunate. I hope that we follow a model that's closer to the UK or Canada's model, which is more a tax break model. I think for me personally, while I run a really small company and it would be great to have money given to me to help make games, I think if we really want to think about the broader components of the industry, what's worked really well in Canada is by having the tax breaks, really big companies have moved there and they've opened up offices and they've employed an awful lot of local talent and helped strengthen that talent pool. By doing so, all these kids become much better educated, they get really good jobs, and then some of them do leave and form up their own studios. And a lot of the amazing independent games that come out these days are made in Canada from people that have worked in really big studios. So if we had a similar system here, I would hope that would attract inward investment from really big companies, which would help broaden the talent pool, maintain an awful lot of highly skilled and talented people in Australia, and then hopefully from that we can get small satellite studios growing and growing that to already bolster our really well-founded independent games movement in Australia. One of the problems we do face in Australia is that there is a bit of a brain drain because there are not any really big studios here anymore focused on like your AAA or your that need 50 or 100 people to make a game. You find that an awful lot of the really talented programmers or artists do end up moving overseas.
Flat Earth Games was lucky enough to get one of the grants from Screen Australia in the 1 year that it was doing the Interactive Games Fund, and without it we probably wouldn't be where we are today. We're about to announce our 4th game, and it was only the first one that ever needed funding. We just needed a little help getting on our feet. I think the same is true for a lot of other companies that are in this very young market. If the games industry in Australia could get the same producer offset benefits that the film industry does, it would be a real help to a lot of startup companies. Most of what we do is research and development, so there would be a huge benefit to bringing us in line with other creative industries. The grant program itself was designed to be sustainable and would have been a really useful tool for helping the industry rebuild itself after the GFC.